Beamy Daniel, 25. Dating Emily for 2 years now. She's 24, hardcore feminist, always quoting some article she read, constantly talks about patriarchal structures and systemic oppression. Whatever. I love her anyway. Sitting at home after work, making dinner. Emily storms in with her laptop, that look in her eyes. The same one she had when she decided we needed to deconstruct gender roles. Daniel, I've been thinking about something revolutionary. Here we go again. She starts pacing around the kitchen like she's giving a TED Talk. You know what? I read this incredible piece today about financial power dynamics. I keep stirring the pasta, nodding along, and I realize something groundbreaking. Men have been conditioning women to accept financial dependence. She's getting more animated by the second. So, I've decided to conduct a social experiment. Oh no, I'm going to be the sole provider for 1 entire month. She says it like she just announced she's curing cancer. I'll pay for everything. Rent, food, entertainment, your personal expenses, literally everything. I stop stirring and look at her. Emily, you don't have to prove anything to me or anyone else. She waves her hand dismissively. This isn't about you, Daniel. This is about dismantling the myth that men are natural providers. Already pulling out her phone to document this moment, I'm going to demonstrate that the whole men must provide narrative is just societal conditioning. She's typing rapidly, probably crafting the perfect social media post. Think about it. If I can do it effortlessly, it proves the system is designed to benefit men. I turn off the stove, sensing this conversation isn't ending soon. Her phone rings immediately. Emily puts it on speaker without asking me. Girl, you'll never believe what experiment I just designed. Her friend's voice is excited. Ooh, tell me everything. I'm going to financially support Daniel for a whole month to prove a point about gender dynamics. Silence on the other end for exactly 3 seconds. Emily, that's absolutely brilliant. You're literally dismantling patriarchal expectations. Friends getting hyped up now. Show the world that women can be providers too. This is so empowering. Right? I'm going to document everything and maybe write an article about it. Emily's practically glowing with excitement, hangs up and turns to me with this triumphant expression. See? This is exactly the kind of progressive action we need more of. I just nod because arguing with Emily in crusader mode is pointless. Learned that lesson the hard way? Next morning, Emily wakes up extra early. She's making elaborate breakfast for both of us. Today marks the beginning of our little social experiment. Using that condescending tone, she reserves for explaining feminism to men. I've already handled the rent payment and transferred money for all our expenses. Getting dressed for work while she watches me, studying my reactions like I'm a lab specimen. How does it feel, Daniel? Having someone else manage all the financial responsibilities. Honestly feels weird, but not the way she probably expects. It's nice, takes some pressure off. She nods and makes notes in her little journal. Exactly. Now you understand how women have felt being financially dependent. Except she's never actually been dependent on me. We've always split expenses pretty evenly. But whatever. At work, coworker mentions his overtime shifts. These double shifts are brutal, but mortgage won't pay itself. Guy's got 2 kids and a wife who works part-time. Makes me think about Emily's experiment. Wonder if she realizes what being sole provider actually means. Come home to find Emily's ordered expensive takeout, some fancy fusion place downtown I've never heard of. Since I'm treating, figured we should experience the finer things. Receipt on the counter shows $95 for 2 people. That's more than my usual weekly grocery budget. She's bouncing around excitedly, telling me about her empowering day. I felt so powerful today, Daniel. like I had complete financial autonomy, gesticulating wildly with her chopsticks. This must be how men feel all the time, just having that economic authority over everything. I'm eating my overpriced Korean fusion while she explains her theories. It's intoxicating, honestly. No wonder men have hoarded this role for centuries. She's already planning her next purchases. Tomorrow, we should try that new wine bar everyone's talking about. Weekend arrives. Emily wants to hit the trendy cocktail scene, place where single drinks cost more than entire meals elsewhere. My treat, obviously. I'm embracing the provider role completely. Says it with this proud smile, like she discovered electricity. Orders top shelf everything without checking prices. At the bar, Emily's telling everyone about her revolutionary social experiment. I'm proving that women are equally capable of financial leadership. Bartenders nodding politely while mixing our third round of $18 cocktails. Emily tips him 30% and announces it loudly. This is what real equality looks like. Walking home, she's already planning our next expensive adventure. We should do that wine tasting next weekend and maybe catch a show. Pulling up ticket prices on her phone. $80 each? Perfect. I want to really embrace this provider lifestyle. She's treating it like playing house with unlimited Monopoly money. Sunday brunch with her friend becomes a celebration. Emily's made this elaborate spread at home first, then insists we go to the expensive place anyway. Look at me being the perfect provider. Pancakes and bottomless mimosas. Friends absolutely eating this up. Girl, you're crushing this experiment. How's Daniel adjusting to being provided for? They're discussing me like I'm not sitting right there. He seems to be processing the role reversal well. Emily glances at me with scientific interest, though I think he's still learning what it means to surrender financial control. Friend nods like she's hearing profound wisdom. Men have such fragile egos about money. This is probably challenging his masculine identity. I excuse myself to use the bathroom, hear them diving deeper into theories about financial emasculation and economic gender dynamics. Emily's taking notes again. Back home, Emily's researching more expensive activities. We should do that cooking class next week. It's only $150 per person. She's browsing luxury experiences like she's window shopping. And there's this wine and paint night that looks amazing. Adding everything to her calendar without checking her bank balance. Calls her mom to brag about the experiment. No, Mom, I don't need financial help. I'm actually the one providing now. Long pause while her mother responds. It's a social experiment about dismantling patriarchal economic structures. Another pause, this one even longer. Hangs up looking slightly annoyed but still confident. My mom doesn't understand progressive relationships. She's stuck in traditional thinking. Immediately goes back to planning our expensive week ahead. Anyway, where were we? Right, that new rooftop restaurant. Emily's been working some extra freelance hours, but she's treating it like a fun challenge rather than necessity. Just want to make sure I can really spoil us this month. She's humming while transferring money between accounts. This is actually easier than I expected. Catches me looking at one of the receipts. Don't worry about the cost, Daniel. That's my job now. She says it with this satisfied authority. I'm learning that being a provider is actually quite natural for me. Files the receipt away with all the others, her little collection of expensive decisions. End of week 2, Emily's still riding high. I can't believe how smoothly this is going. She's counting up all her expenditures with pride instead of concern. Turns out women are just as capable of financial dominance as men. Already planning to extend the experiment. Maybe I should make this permanent. Beginning of week 3, Emily's still confident, but cracks starting to show. She's checking her banking app more frequently, always closing it quickly when I walk by. just staying on top of my finances like a responsible provider. But there's something different in her voice. Emily's friend calls for their usual check-in. "How's the provider experiment going, Queen?" Emily hesitates for the first time. "It's really educational, more complex than I initially anticipated." "What do you mean, complex? You're literally just paying for stuff." "Well, it's not just paying for stuff. It's the constant mental load." Emily's pacing while talking. "Like, I'm always calculating, always thinking about the next expense." Friend jumps in immediately. "Don't let Daniel guilt you about spending money." "He's not guilting me, it's just everything costs more than I expected." "Girl, you're overthinking this. Women have been managing households forever." Emily glances at me while nodding. "You're absolutely right. I'm just adjusting to the responsibility." But she doesn't sound convinced anymore. Starts browsing freelance job boards immediately after hanging up. Emily pays the rent, and I watch her face. Slight wince when the payment processes. She immediately opens her laptop and starts applying for extra work. Just want to build up a buffer for fun activities. But she's been saying that as every day this week. Coworker mentions taking his family out cost him $400 last weekend. Kids wanted to do everything: mini golf, arcade, fancy dinner. He shrugs like it's normal. That's what being a dad means, right? You make it work. Starting to understand why he always looks tired. Come home to Emily hunched over her laptop. She's been working on some boring copywriting project, the kind she used to call soul-crushing corporate propaganda. "How's it going?" "Fine. Great. Really engaging content about insurance policies." She's typing aggressively, clearly hating every word, but keeps glancing at the payment amount in the corner of her screen. $300 for 2,000 words about auto coverage. Just embracing new challenges as a provider. But her jaw is clenched the entire time. Emily's usual post-work rants are changing. Instead of complaining about patriarchy, she's focused on money. "Do you know how little my nonprofit pays me?" Pacing around with leftover takeout. "Like, how is anyone supposed to support a household on this salary?" I try to be supportive. "You're doing amazing, Em." She stops and stares at me. Am I though? Because I feel like I'm constantly scrambling. Catches herself immediately. I mean, it's a valuable learning experience about male financial pressure. Emily starts working until 2 a.m. regularly, taking on 3 different freelance projects simultaneously. I wake up to aggressive typing and muttered complaints. You should get some sleep." "Can't. Need to finish this project. Client wants it first thing." Her desk is covered in empty coffee cups and energy drink cans. The woman who used to do yoga every morning is now surviving on caffeine. Being a provider means making sacrifices, but she looks miserable saying it. Emily oversleeps and panics, rushing around the apartment like the world is ending. I can't afford to be late, can't miss a single hour of work. She's talking to herself more than to me. Every hour matters, every penny counts. Her friend texts about weekend plans, some expensive wine tasting event. Emily stares at the message for a long time, starts typing, can't afford, then deletes it. Types, I'm swamped with provider responsibilities instead. Emily's doing laundry and meal prep obsessively now. Bought generic brands for the first time since I've known her. No more organic, free-range anything. Comparing unit prices, like she's solving mathematical equations. Smart shopping is part of being an effective provider. Neighbor overhears Emily on the phone with her bank. What do you mean I'm approaching my credit limit? She's walking around the apartment, voice getting higher. I calculated everything. I had a budget. Gets rejected, hangs up, throws her a phone across the room. Neighbor rolls her eyes through the thin walls. Some people never learn. Emily's personality is shifting dramatically. She wakes up checking her bank balance before getting out of bed. Daniel, we need to have a serious conversation about expenses. Pulls out a notebook filled with obsessive calculations. I've been tracking every single purchase, and the numbers are concerning. She flips through pages of meticulous records. Rent, utilities, groceries, gas, your lunch money, entertainment. Counting on her fingers like a manic accountant. It literally never stops. There is always another expense I didn't anticipate. Her handwriting gets more frantic with each page. Emily's friend calls during this financial crisis meeting. Emily doesn't put it on speaker this time. Takes the call in another room. I can hear muffled arguing through the wall. No, I'm not giving up. Yes, I know what I said. It's more complicated. Comes back looking frustrated and defeated. She thinks I'm just not embracing the challenge properly. Emily's voice has a bitter edge now. Says I need to lean into the discomfort and trust the process. Air quotes with genuine anger. Easy advice when it's not your money hemorrhaging. Emily's working another late night, crying quietly while typing. I bring her tea, and she doesn't even acknowledge me, just keeps wiping her eyes and hitting keys aggressively. I can't keep this pace up, Daniel. First honest admission she's made in weeks. Em, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. But I do. I announced this experiment publicly. She's looking at her social media posts from week 1, all the confident declarations and empowerment rhetoric. I can't be the woman who failed after 3 weeks. Emily comes home from work completely drained, doesn't say hello, just collapses on the couch, stares at the ceiling for 30 minutes. I used to think men just naturally earned more money. Her voice is quiet, different than before. Didn't realize they had to sacrifice everything just to keep up with basic expenses. Her friend shows up uninvited, all fake energy and positivity. Girl, you're almost done. Just one more week of proving your point. Emily's sitting there like a zombie. Friend doesn't notice or doesn't care. You're going to have such an amazing story to tell about female empowerment. I don't feel empowered. Emily says it so quietly, I almost miss it. Friend acts like she didn't hear. What you're doing is revolutionary. You're changing the narrative. Emily just nods mechanically while staring at her empty bank account. Friend finally leaves after an hour of cheerleading. Emily immediately breaks down. She has no idea what this actually feels like. Sobbing into her hands. No one does. They just want me to succeed for their own validation. I sit next to her, not saying anything. She leans against me for the first time in weeks. I'm so tired, Daniel. So fucking tired. Emily never swears unless she's completely broken. I don't know how people do this for years, decades. She's looking at her credit card statements. I've blown through my savings and I'm going into debt. Her voice is hollow, defeated. All for what? To prove some point that doesn't even matter? But she still has one more week to go. Final week starts, and Emily looks like she aged 5 years. Dark circles under her eyes, constantly checking her phone for work emails. Just need to make it 7 more days. She's talking to herself more than to me. Sounds like she's trying to survive a natural disaster. Emily's working 4 different freelance projects simultaneously. Laptop overheating from being open 18 hours straight. Insurance copy, tech blog posts, social media content, and grant writing. She lists them like battle scars. Whatever pays the bills. Her friend calls for what she doesn't know will be the last time. How are you feeling about finishing strong? Emily's stirring instant ramen, too tired to cook. I'm learning a lot about the male perspective on financial responsibility. Diplomatic answer that says nothing. That's amazing. You're going to have such insights for your article. Friends still living in week 1, Emily's fantasy. Yeah, insights. Emily's voice is completely flat, hangs up, and immediately gets back to copywriting about dental insurance. Emily's mom calls, concerned. Honey, you sound exhausted. Are you eating enough? I'm fine, Mom. Just busy being a provider. But she's eating cereal for dinner again. This experiment is really opening my eyes. Understatement of the century. Co-worker mentions his wife surprised him with dinner reservations. Cost her a fortune, but she said I deserved it after my promotion. He's genuinely happy about the gesture. Sometimes it's nice when someone else takes care of the finances. I think about Emily's experiment being anything but nice. Come home to Emily having a breakdown at the kitchen table. Bills spread everywhere. Calculator in one hand, phone in the other. The credit card payment is due tomorrow. She's doing math over and over, hoping numbers will change. I don't have enough. I literally don't have enough money. She looks up at me with genuine panic. Daniel, I need to ask you something, and I hate myself for it. Already know what's coming. Can you cover the credit card payment? Just this once. The irony isn't lost on either of us. Hand her my debit card without saying anything. She takes it like she's accepting defeat. This doesn't count against the experiment. She's bargaining with herself. It's just a temporary cash flow issue. But we both know what this means. Emily spends the entire night working. I wake up at 4 a.m. to find her passed out on her keyboard. Article about 10 ways to maximize your insurance coverage, half finished on screen. Carry her to bed. She doesn't even wake up. Laptop still running. Another deadline approaching in 3 hours. She wakes up panicked, rushes to finish the insurance article, submits it with typos because there's no time to proofread. Good enough. They're paying me $50 for this garbage. Immediately starts the next project. Blog post about productivity apps. The irony is killing me. Emily's phone buzzes with a low balance warning. She stares at it for a full minute. 2 more days. I just need to last 2 more days. But she's already borrowed money from me. The experiment failed days ago. She just won't admit it. Neighbor hears Emily on another phone call with her bank. Please, I just need a small increase to my credit limit. She's begging now, all pride gone. It's temporary. I have income coming in. Gets rejected, hangs up, throws her phone across the room. Neighbor finally speaks up through the wall. Having money problems, sweetheart? Emily's mortified that someone heard. Just managing some temporary cash flow challenges. Still trying to maintain the facade. Sounds familiar. My ex-husband used to make those same calls. Neighbor's voice has zero sympathy. Always thought providing for a family would be easy until he had to do it. Emily goes silent. Funny how that works out. Last full day of the experiment. Emily can't even pretend anymore. She's eating plain pasta because it's all we can afford. I used to judge men for being stressed about money. She's speaking to her bowl more than to me. Thought they were just being dramatic or controlling. Takes another bite of unseasoned noodles. Turns out constant financial pressure actually changes you as a person. First genuine insight she's had in 4 weeks. Makes you desperate. Makes you do things you never thought you'd do. Emily's friend texts asking about celebration plans. Tomorrow's the big day. How are you going to celebrate crushing this experiment? Emily stares at the message for 20 minutes, types and deletes a dozen responses. Finally just sends, rain check on celebrating. Final morning arrives. Emily wakes up and doesn't check her bank balance. It's over. I made it through the month. But there's no victory in her voice, just exhaustion and relief that it's ending. She's adding up all the money she borrowed from me. I owe you $847, writing it down like a confession, plus whatever interest you want to charge. I tell her not to worry about interest. She almost cries with gratitude. Emily's friend calls to congratulate her. You did it. You proved women can be providers just as well as men. Emily's holding the phone away from her ear. Yeah, I proved something all right. Friend doesn't catch the tone. So, when are you writing the article about your success? Emily looks at her laptop, then at the pile of unpaid freelance work. I need some time to process everything I learned, which is code for never. After the call, Emily sits quietly for a long time. I owe you an apology, Daniel. She's not looking at me. Not just for the money, for everything. I thought being a provider was just about having enough income. She's speaking slowly, choosing words carefully. Didn't realize it was about constant worry, sacrifice, never feeling secure. About working jobs you hate because bills don't care about your dreams. Neighbor overhears this conversation too. Can't resist one final comment through the wall. Sounds like someone finally figured out what it's like to be the man in the relationship. Emily winces, but doesn't argue. First time she's been called out without fighting back. Emily deletes all her social media posts about the experiment. I'm not ready to admit publicly that I was wrong, but she's admitting it privately. Maybe someday I'll write about what I actually learned. About how hard it is, how it breaks you down. She looks at our stack of bills. Want to split these going forward? First time she suggested sharing financial responsibility. I mean, if that's okay with you. Like she's asking for a favor instead of offering equality. Emily starts researching budgeting apps. I never had to think about money management before. She's looking at expense tracking spreadsheets. Always just assumed if you made decent money, you'd have enough. Turns out there's a difference between making money and managing it. A week later, Emily pays for dinner but splits the check. This feels more fair. She says it quietly, like she's admitting defeat. But it's not defeat, it's understanding. I get it now. Why relationships work better when both people contribute. Emily never mentions the experiment to her friends anymore. When they ask about her revolutionary experience, she changes the subject or gives vague answers. It was educational, is her standard response, followed by immediate topic changes. She still works some freelance projects, but now it's to build savings, not to prove points. I never want to feel that financial panic again. She's learned the value of emergency funds, or put all the pressure on one person. Emily's relationship with money completely changed. She checks prices now, compares options, clips, coupons without embarrassment. Turns out being financially responsible isn't oppressive. It's just responsible. Neighbor sees us both carrying groceries. Look at that, sharing the load. Emily nods instead of getting defensive. Turns out teamwork makes more sense than competition. First time she's acknowledged that relationships aren't battles to win. Emily finally admits the truth to her mom. The experiment was harder than I expected. Doesn't elaborate, but Mom understands. Sometimes the best lessons are the ones that humble us, honey. Emily agrees without arguing about patriarchal language. Months later, Emily rarely mentions feminism in the context of our relationship. Still believes in equality, but understands it differently now. Equal doesn't mean identical, she says when splitting dinner bills. Sometimes it means both people doing their part. She never wrote that article about female empowerment, but she learned something more valuable, that being responsible for everything is exhausting regardless of gender, and partnership means sharing burdens, not competing over who can carry more. Emily occasionally thanks me for letting her fail. You could have stopped me or said I told you so, but I never felt the need. Watching her figure it out herself was worth more than being right. Now we actually work together instead of keeping score.